Animal control, animal control. I don't pack a gun, but I'm armed with a pole to lasso loose dogs that all you people let go. 'Cause I'm your Silver City ACO. I'm your Silver City ACO.
It's Victoria and Sherwood.
Yep.
And Scott and Itzy here today. May. It's not summer yet, is it? Okay. Spring. So it's windy, but we're out at the animal shelter actually, and that's why Scott came out with us. You know, Scott runs the front desk and does everything under the sun.
General manager.
He does it all and does it really well. So Scott came out here to help us with this part because actually Scott and Gigi asked us to do the show about this particular subject, which is animals running around off leash in parks, which public areas. So off leash, that means they're not under control. So Scott?
We get a lot of people come in from Boston Hill that have problems with somebody else being up on the hill with their dog off a leash, that want to run up to them. One, it startles them, their dog. They're worried, scared. They don't know what to expect. You may know your animal, but the person coming up doesn't. And that's where things really get complicated, because we all love to see the dogs run, have fun and play, but a little bit of responsibility and selfishness helps out in a public area. Bicyclists use Boston Hill quite a bit, and they're coming in at a quick pace, and they don't need to come up upon your dog running after them, trying to make them wreck or spill.
Don't need an accident.
Don't need an accident. Basically, we're just asking you to follow the ordinance and keep your animal on a leash. I walk up here 2-3 times a week during my lunch hour, and I have had to encounter the problem myself.
Yeah, it's one of these areas where I know, like you say, the town people or people walking their dogs want to let their dogs run loose. You know, but we wanted to tell you folks that, I mean, as the ordinance says, they need to be on a leash. Because this is, a part of it is a park. And so, again, in any public area, you need to keep them under control. One of the things, like God says, if you let them run and all of a sudden the bicycler comes up on them, that dog's just going to react normal and maybe go after the bicyclist, or the dog may jump off. Because we have a lot of like little gullies and ravines that they can also follow. Also, a part of the problem with the running loose is the wildlife. I mean, we do have foxes, a lot of foxes. Even I've heard with mountain lion, coyote, you know, they can tangle with your dogs. So, you know, this is why we need you to be, you know, really on top of your animal, you know, when you're up here. You know, so
Responsible.
Yeah, please enjoy the space with your animal, but be considerate of the other people
Right.
that are doing the same
It's
thing.
not all about you, in other words.
Right. You know, and it is a pretty big open space. I mean, you know, there's room for everybody. But like you said, what we're seeing more and more of is people just not being responsible and letting their, you know, animals get too far away from them to where they can't, you know, control them at a moment's notice.
No,
and that's what we're at.
and not many dogs can be controlled like that.
Right. And it is an ordinance throughout actually the state that whenever you have your animal out in public, it needs to be under a restraint by a human being. Voice control, you know, I don't think that would really fly in court. You know, you might say my dog is under voice control. Well, you know, I think if it got where you had to go to court, I think you would lose because...
If you were farther in the woods, I can really see a voice control. You're not in a populated area.
Right.
The parks like this or Gomez Peak, too many people use them here. Yeah, then, you know, you just gotta use some common sense and say, I'll put the dog on the leash, they're still happy.
You could also get the leashes with long tethers.
Right.
You know, anything to where you could keep control of that animal at all times is basically what we're trying to get across. Because again, you are responsible for that animal if it does injure somebody.
Well, Scott, remember that day, it was a couple months ago, where I was in there and one of our regular dog walkers, who's an awesome volunteer, was out back in here somewhere with the dog he had on a leash. And he encountered a person with 2 dogs, I think it was.
And it becomes a verbal confrontation between 2 people over 2 dogs.
Yeah.
And it could have just been rectified if the gentleman would have had his dog on a leash. And him saying that he has the dog under control is a lot of bunk, because why would it be up against this other dog that are dog walkers?
Well, and it was sad because it spilled over all the way into the front desk area. And I mean, I thought, here's somebody volunteering their time and coming out here on a regular basis and walking dogs, and he ends up with a dog that he really doesn't know all that well, and dealing with a situation that was dangerous.
And you got to realize that the person with the leash is the one obeying the law.
Right.
And you're not, if your dog's not on a leash. And that's where things go awry.
Right. And simply because it's an open area, you know, I mean, again, a lot of people are starting to think that they can let them run loose because it's such an open area. But again, this is a part of the city, you know, and it's illegal, even in the county, to let your dogs just run free.
Well, where can your dogs run free?
The dog park.
The dog park, private property. If you know, somebody that owns their own ranch, you know, it is pretty limited here in Silver City area as far as letting them run free. I don't really know anywhere besides the dog park really to be.
That's all that
truthful.
I've heard. I talked to Gigi and then to Scott, and that is what we came up with. That was it. The dog park.
Right.
So.
Build yourself a nice fence around your place, and you know it's not the big block or whatever, but what's so hard about carrying, like you're saying, an extendable your dog can be on.
Yeah, so, like you're saying, it doesn't have to run wild 50 yards ahead of you, you know.
Right.
If they're on extended leash, you know, 20 feet is plenty long enough. Even 10 feet, the dog has got plenty of room.
It's exciting for them.
To sniff and smell. And, you know, and again, you know, you've got the joggers, you know, and they want to take their dog around. Like I said, you can run with your dog, but you still need to have that dog under control. So, you know, again, it's getting to be one of these areas that we felt we needed to call, you know, attention to the public about. Yes, it is illegal to let your dog run loose up here on Boston Hill or Fort Baird. Or
Little Walnut campgrounds
Little
and picnic area.
What's the other one? The Peak, Gomez Peak.
Peak.
And that's another one we get complaints about, Gomez Peak. The other part of that also is they ask for the law enforcement. How do they do it? Okay, right now, as it stands, we're not patrolling Boston Hill, or the sheriff isn't patrolling Gomez Peak or out of Fort Baird. All right, we rely on the public to do their part in those areas. You know, the public doesn't need police force around everywhere when they're trying to relax. So again, this is a thing that the public has to do. It's, you know, it's their own policing, like we have at the dog park.
So what you're saying is don't ruin it for yourself.
Right.
Go out there, be responsible, use some common sense, maybe take the initiative and put your dog on a leash and enjoy the day, and you won't have the guy standing there packing a gun sitting there saying, hey, where's your leash, pal?
Right,
You
and again, you know, that's again one of those gray areas. If you might run across somebody in an area such as Boston Hill or Fort Baird area where they might be packing a piece, you know, and you know, you're taking a chance. If your dog is running loose and they perceive your dog as a threat, you know, that's a red flag, you know. So, you know, a word of caution here. This is one of those things you need to be aware of. You know, out in an area like here, you got rattlesnakes. I mean, if I came across a rattlesnake, I'd sure, if I had a pistol, I'd sure put it down. You know.
You would, I bet.
Yeah. So again, you know, like I said, these people may be carrying. I know that they carry, I advise them to carry walking sticks when they walk their dogs in rural areas. Again, for their own protection. We do in some areas have some feral dogs that run loose. Okay, so they need to protect themselves. So, again, this is the problems we have if you have your animals run loose where there's an area where there's a lot of foot traffic. I think if you were going out into the burrows, different story, up into the Gila, different story. Still you need to think about keeping your dog under control. But there's not as many walking or bicycling people as the areas that we're really concerned about talking about right here, I think.
Right, this area is just so nice that it's so close to town. There's a ton of people up here.
People love it up here.
And they
love
all,
it.
yeah, and just, boy, I hate to see the city get upset and do something, or the county, to restrict people being able to use the areas.
And that's a possibility of happening, because I know in the law enforcement end, if we start getting too much of a problem area, then we address those issues more sternly, and put more restrictions. And again, on open spaces, nobody really wants to do that, and that's why we rely on public policing of these areas. But then again, if you do get complaints, or you get bit, chances are that they'll have a cell phone now. And they'll call, and either you're going to see an animal control or sheriff or police officer at the end of the trail, and then you're going to be dealing with those. And again, that's not necessary.
No, it's
And the
not.
whole point of it is to go out and relax and to
And have a
enjoy
good time.
exercising with your animal.
So what's
Yeah.
good? What's a good time about getting in an argument with somebody? Or, that day was not very much fun for all of us because, that was
Dog off a leash.
negative experience.
Right.
And so,
Like I say, and the leash law is for any dog in any public area. Basically, in the town, it says that a dog must be under control by a human at all times if it's not enclosed in a fenced yard. Okay, so in other words, they need to be on a tether or on a leash by the owner if they're inside a non-fenced yard. So that same thing goes to downtown and out here in any of the city properties and any of the county-owned properties
Right.
too.
same thing.
And I'm pretty sure the Forest Department, which is Fort Baird to Pinos Altos, I know that they've got restrictions too on just letting your animal run. So,
Well, we even talked about that in one of our first shows. We went out to Little Walnut Picnic Ground, and Buddy came with us, and we talked about the same subject. Dogs out there running around, and people having picnics, and it was a long time ago that we did that, but now here we are. We're back.
yeah, because
back on
again,
the
it's
subject.
come up again, and this is kind of why we do the TV shows, to keep addressing issues that are current. And this is starting to be another current issue. We're getting more reports of the dogs running loose in these areas, not to where it's becoming more.
So, Scott, can you just describe Boston Hill? You were telling me a little bit before we started.
Boston Hill's incredible. You can go all the way out towards Drug Bypass from here. It loops back around towards the line up here. They have a nice fence that goes along there. You can go down in the ravine and gully over to the water tanks up on the hill. There's a huge oak tree with a bench. There's benches everywhere.
Oh, there is?
Oh yeah. And then if you go around the corner there, it goes all the way up to Highway 180
Up the
and
top of
Market.
Snake Hill.
Exactly.
And then there's also another entrance on into Cheyenne and Market.
Absolutely fantastic walking area. Benches is incredible. I would suggest taking some water in a little water dish.
Yeah.
It does get warm.
And there's no water up there for them to get from. So
Exactly.
yeah. And again, starting in May now, this time of the year, always take water with you. That should be a gimme. But yeah, let's mention it again. Your animal, he's got probably used up more water than you are. And he's going to need a little drink along the way if you're going to take him. Plus, like I said, for yourself.
But the trails are excellently marked. They're easy to find. It's close. It's you're out of town with an incredible view. And
Actually,
5
still in
minutes
town
away.
because it's within the city.
Yeah, right. But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's just-
Feel like you're out of town.
yeah,
Right.
exactly. It's
Yeah.
a nice little getaway.
And again, you have to treat it just like if you were down at golf cart, with your dog. So
Yeah.
You know, be respectful,
Well-
pick up after your dog, and keep them on a leash because again, you know, if they're caught running wild, I mean, you know, you can be cited,
Well, and you should be. Really.
which is something we don't want to do, you know, but you know that's one of the last results is we can come down like that.
Well, we were thinking we were going to walk over to the memorial wall.
Okay.
Everybody
Beautiful
ready
day
to
for
go? And Scott, if you want to stay with us, you can. But if you feel like you're needed,
I'll probably get back to work.
Back-
But thank you for having me on the
Thank
show.
you,
It's
Scott.
always a pleasure, Scott.
yeah.
Thanks, Sherwood.
You do
You're
a great job
awesome.
for us here.
Well, we could walk and talk, and then
And Mr. Billy, the cameraman.
hope he doesn't trip.
Yeah. Well, you know, and like we were talking, you know, it is getting to be the warmer time of the year. People are more outdoors. So, you know, this is the time that we need to address these situations with your animals out in the wild. You know, like you mentioned, campgrounds, you know. I know it's annoying to people when they go to a campground and have a good time and all of a sudden somebody lets their dog run around loose, you know.
Or they're barking all
Or they're,
night
or they're
long.
barking all night long. You know, again, you know, this is something that people really need to think about if they're going to take their animals out on a trip like that. Because you don't want them, you know, being a public nuisance. Or sometimes people will scrap feed them.
Well, the worst case scenario is they're going to ban them.
Right.
And all of a sudden, if they're going to have too many problems, they will ban the animals from being able to
And
be
then
there.
it's ruined for everyone,
Right.
which that kind of
Which doesn't help everybody.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
like
it's
I say,
just
that's-
ruined for everyone.
And you know, on the gotta say, on the most part, people are pretty good at following the rules.
Yeah, most part, but there's always somebody who thinks they don't, you know,
They're above it all.
the rules don't apply to them.
Cheers. Have a good day.
See you,
Okay,
Scott.
Scott.
Thanks a lot.
Yep.
Get back to work.
So, you know, like I say, yeah, we don't want to see more rules,
No, less government.
less government, you know, and more freedom.
Yeah.
But you know, we were also going to talk about, you know, the blues festival is coming up here pretty soon, and for that, I'd like to say that there's no dogs in the park. Okay, they're expecting over 10,000 people this year.
Oh my gosh.
We've got a headliner, Taj Mahal, and Guitar Slim, really great musicians. So, and then they, you know, are advertising it, and then they also have a bike show with I think they call it the Circle of Death or something like that, where they ride inside a barrel,
Oh, that's new.
and it's centrifugal force, and they just go around.
That's all going to be in the park, or is that
We
gonna
ride
be...
outside the park on Pope Street.
Okay.
They're closing Pope off all the way down to College.
This thing's getting big.
Yeah, it's getting real big. And again, that's why I thought it, excuse me, bring it up to you. Because really for the locals, please leave your dogs at home.
Yeah.
That's what this program about. I can't address the tourists that will come in, but the locals, please leave your dog at home. It's really a big safety issue.
Yeah.
It's not that we don't like the dogs or that. It's like if that many people come by, you know, and some child or whatever may pull on the dog's tail, the dog is going to do a knee-jerk reaction and possibly bite the child or worse. Or then again, if they can't control their animal, you know, it's just going to be too many people in that park in downtown
Yeah.
to really, you know, make it safe. And again, dogs aren't going to usually be used to that much traffic. And
No.
motorcycles,
That's a lot of noise and
a lot of noise. I expect a lot of noise this year.
confusion.
So,
Plus, if people don't clean up after their dogs, you've got a whole nother issue. You know, you got food vendors,
Right.
people with plates full of food, and then dog stuff
Right.
all over.
and it just doesn't work.
No.
Not for the Blues Festival.
So,
So I'd like to see the word out to, you know, leave your dogs at home.
well, and hopefully we can get this out before the Blues Festival
Yeah,
starts.
Billy's pretty good at
Billy's
that.
going to get on it for us
So
because
he's
he's really on time usually.
Another thing that I thought I'd bring up, and I was going to say this, we talked just briefly, was the rattlesnakes.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
we got to talk about that.
I have already seen several bull snakes and had several bull snakes calls
Really?
in town already. Yeah, which is,
People call about bull snakes?
well, the bull snakes look fairly like a rattlesnake.
Oh,
They have
yeah,
that
they
kind of
do.
two-tone brown to them. So, you know, that that makes them look, you know, like a rattlesnake from afar.
Well, they sound like a rattlesnake if they choose to. I've witnessed
Yeah,
that.
they can wiggle that
myself.
little tail.
They make a rattling sound that sounds just like a rattlesnake because we've already had that at our house at night one time, and we've heard a lot of rattlesnakes, and this sounded just like a
Well,
rattlesnake.
like I say, but people need to start being aware if they got debris in their backyard. You know, the snakes are starting to come out. Be careful is what I'm trying to say here.
Pay attention,
Pay attention.
because like where we live, we never had rattlesnakes until a few years after we moved in and put the bird feeders up, and no one told us, you know, and we were apparently too stupid to figure out that if you have bird feeders, you have birds, and then you have chipmunks, and then pretty soon the rattlesnakes figure it out, and they wait. I've seen them waiting underneath the feeder
For the birds?
and the chipmunks.
Okay, okay.
Yep, and
Okay.
you know, I mean, it's awful to see.
Uh-huh.
So you know, we didn't expect that. We never thought about it. So
But again, like I say, I wanted to mention, because if you're in hiking Boston Hill, Gomez Peak, or PA, all those, I mean, yeah, they're coming out right now. And
They're out, yeah.
You need to be aware of that. Also, we've had a little bit more moisture this year, so I know the grasses are getting taller. I think that we may see an increase in the tick season.
oh, we probably could.
You know, and so again, you know, it's good to see these things, because Silver City looks beautiful right now, and I just think that we're going to see a little bit more of the bug creatures this year, you know, because it has been. It's not so dry. So
Oh, it's
again,
beautiful. The oak trees have completely blossomed.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm still amazed we're getting a little moisture. We had a little again last night, which was just, you know, everything's getting a watering, a little drink of water.
I
where
can
we
see
used to get dry.
clouds north of here. I don't know if they'll get here, but they're definitely up there. Some,
This is a Chamber of Commerce postcard
yeah, it is.
day type of a thing.
Hopefully the people that come in and stay at the hotels get to see the show.
Yeah.
Then they're going to go, oh yeah,
Yeah.
now I know why I came.
Yeah. Another thing that, you know, we also always want to mention is keeping your yards clean. Make sure that you pick up after animals, because you know, once we get into the warmer weather and then we get the monsoon, then we get the smell. Another topic, which is favorite of ours, is barking dogs at night.
Yep.
You know, right now it's been a little on the cool side, but I'm trying to give people a heads up. They're going to start leaving their windows open, and you're going to start hearing more animals, because the dogs are basically the only noise we have.
Well, and that makes people very mad.
Right, and so if it's your dog barking, you need to be aware of that.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing is that we're going to be closing down the bridge here pretty quick, so there's going to be a different sound of traffic going through the town, and it's probably going to get noisier.
Yeah.
To tell you the truth.
That's going to be very interesting. I know, even just because the shelter's located on the one of the main routes that people are going to be taking.
That's right.
It's going to make a big change.
And they wanted us to mention too that, you know, we were wondering about dog walkers, because we've had really good dog walkers, but with Cooper being one of the more main congested street, we're still hoping and letting people know that, you know, we still hope you can come out and walk the dogs. We know it's going to be a bit of a challenge getting in and out of the shelter, but
Well, most of the people that volunteer for us are pretty cool. I think they'll continue, because it's, once you start doing something like volunteering, you just start to look forward to it. And our dog walkers are amazing.
they are. We got a great, you know, this shelter is really a good shelter. I mean, I'm in touch with, you know, the other shelter people around the state, and as far as it goes, our area is probably one of the top shelters in the state.
It is.
You know, with the way it's run, with the good, you know, the good workers there, to where adoption rates, to everything else.
Our
you know.
adoption rates are very, very good on a national level. Really impressive.
Our people here are really getting the word to adopt local, and really not go to the dog farms.
Well, and they see, you know, when you live in a town this size, you see what people do. You see all we have fundraisers, and, you know, you see and read, and, you know, about how we have a lot of volunteers that really care.
Right. Yeah, and that's what makes this place, you know, unique in one sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's Silver City's a beautiful, wonderful place to be, with very caring and loving people. And
And you know, I got to say, the town here has helped me a lot. You know, the Silver City folks, my hat's off to you. You've really picked it up since the years I started, as far as watching your animals run loose, getting their shots and license. You know, you guys are doing a good job. You know, and I thank you, and I'm sure that the town council and that, you know, would say thank you too to you. I mean, it's kind of one of those things that doesn't really get said often to the public. You know, you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
But you know, I just would like to, you know, relay that to, you know, that you guys are, you know, you're doing a good job.
Well, in the spay and neuter, you know, people
Oh man, that was great.
are
Wasn't
getting
it?
the word out.
Yeah, and it was a big success. I mean, like I say, things are, the people here are really stepping up
This is a great place.
for our animal communities.
Yeah.
I know we don't have the problems that a lot of the other smaller
Yeah.
towns do.
Well, on that note, do you have any jokes? Because we're done. We're out of
Are we
time.
done for the day?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe I have one. All right,
Go.
here we go. What did the hot dog say when he crossed the finish line? Nothing? Wiener, wiener, wiener!
Okay.
Oh.
You got to have one more.
Yeah. What do you get if you see 100 crooks surfing at the beach? A crime wave. Okay, one more.
Hurry up. I'm
Okay.
choking to death.
Why did the sheriff put glue on his hands before he went to the shootout?
I don't know.
You know? Just stick to his guns.
Okay, everybody. Bye.
Have a good week. See you next time.